This is a project carving a Christmas ornament, an angel ornament in basswood. The pattern is 4 3/4 inches high and 3 inches wide from wing to wing. And it is carved on one side, so it's a relief carving. Hello, I'm Joe Dillette, and this is a project on carving an angel ornament. I printed out the pattern, and the pattern is on the website. It is in the photo section, and you print it out so it is 4 3/4 inches tall, and from wingtip to wingtip is 3 inches wide. I have the pattern printed out so I can transfer it to the wood. The wood is basswood. It's a thin piece. It's 3/8 of an inch thick. You can go any thickness that you want. And basswood carves very nice. It's a nice white wood. And to transfer the pattern, I'm using a carbon paper. Now, this is not the grease paper. This is the true carbon paper. It's like carbon on a pencil, and it doesn't smear on the wood or stain the wood like the grease paper does. You can buy this carbon paper at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So the tools that I'm using for this project is the pattern that I printed out. It is the graphite paper and a pencil. I have 2 number 5 gouges. This is the one I used for the wings, to cup the wings out. This is the one I used to get underneath the sleeve, that little concave under the arm and the sleeve. I use a V-tool. I use 2 number 3 gouges. You know, I like the number 3s a lot, so this is they're both fishtails. They are quite small. Another tool I use after the first coat of varnish, I go in with a number 400 emery. And that just knocks down smooths out the whiskers that the varnish raised. So I cut the pattern so it is right to the edge. I can gauge where the edge of the wood is. I tape it down so it doesn't move. Then I put the carbon paper under the pattern. I put the shiny side down. Now you can reuse this carbon paper many times. As you see, I've used it for a lot of different patterns. And then I just take a pencil and I trace it. I'm not going to do all the detail. Things like the eyes is going to be carved off, and you're going to have to redraw the pattern. All the pattern of the wings, the feathers in the wings, I'm not going to draw those now. I will put those in later, because when I carve the wings I'll lose my drawing anyhow. And the hole I'm not going to worry about. I just drill that later. So there, the pattern is drawn. My carbon didn't go quite to the bottom, so I'm just going to draw that in a little bit more. The next step is to saw it out. If you don't have a scroll saw or band saw, you can use a coping saw. A coping saw works very well, as you can see. It's quite fast. It's fairly cheap. You start off by making your stop cuts, taking your V-tool and running it right along the edge here. So one of the wings is right up against your pencil line. Then come down from this side, go into here, stop right there. That's your stop cut for the arm. Now I'll take a gouge and cut down to the bottom of the stop cut. Notice this holding device is a pegboard, and I'm holding the angel in with just 2 pegs. I can lift it out of there and I can put it back in, and just 2 pegs are holding it in place so I can work with the chisels. Now I'm down to the bottom of my stop cut, and I will make a deeper stop cut doing the same thing. We're going to be going down a little deeper than halfway through the piece of wood. So it's 3/8 thick, and we're going to be going down a little over 3/16 of an inch. Now the wings, you can make them any shape. I'm just going to scoop it in so it's a little thicker at the outside, thinning out into the inside. I'm cutting down to the bottom of the stop cut. So the lowest area of the wings will be right up next to the arm. Then I will go and clean up that cut again with the stop cut. Clean up this corner here, right up next to the line. Now I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Both wings are at almost the original thickness of 3/8 of an inch at the outside, and they're a little less than half of the thickness, a little under 3/16 in the inside up next to the arms. The next cut we're going to be making is across the halo, separating the halo from the hair. Now the halo wraps around the head, so on the outside, it'll be way to the back, down to almost to the back of the carving, and this will be out to the original thickness. So I'm going to make the stop cuts very deep on the both ends, almost all the way through to the back. The same on this side. Then I will take the gouge and I will just round that down. So now by keep cutting it, rounding it off, this top surface is dropping down towards the back. We'll make my stop cuts a little bit deeper over the top here, dropping towards the back again. Now I'll just smooth that off with my gouge. Now the next thing is this little line up through the hair, right down the middle, the part in the hair. So I'm just going to take a little nibble out of that. This. Then the next is the underside of the hair. Come around with the V-tool. I'm going to be running that wing right up next to the pencil line, saving the pencil line there. I'll do the same on this side. Now the face is tipped forward, so this V-tool cut, the stop cut at the top will be very shallow, and it will go deep all the way down, because this is the bottom of the face that's bent over, so that will be deep right down here. So I'm pushing my stop cut down. Okay, now at the top of the arms, I'm going to come through, follow that hand up, so one of the wings of the V-tool is going to cut right along that pencil line, and the same on this side. Just follow that pencil line coming up. Making a little stop cut here at the top, so when I carve the face pointing downward, I don't lose the top of the fingers. Now I'm going to go to the outside of the hair, because the hair is going to stick out a little bit more than the shoulders. And then the top of the shoulder, I'm going to round that back. I'm going to keep this hair out higher than what that shoulder is going to be. And I'll do the same on the other side. Then I take the gouge and I will slant the hair back down to the bottom of the stop cut. I'm going to round the top of the head going back. And the same on this side. Then I'm going to round the face, pointing down, and I'm going to curve the face so it'll be highest right about at the nose, and the sides of the face is going in more. Now the face on this angel, all we're doing is like the eye sockets, be just like the eyebrow. I'm going to round the top of the shoulders, just back to almost where the wing is. Then I'm going to lay that arm back. I'm going to keep this the original thickness, and I'm going to go back with the arm, back to meet the shoulder. Same on this side. I'm going to make my stop cuts a little bit deeper, so this area in here right alongside the hands can be a little deeper. Coming right along the hair, the bottom of the chin, along the hands. Just kind of dig that chip out of there. The same on this side. So you kind of want to create a hole that's tapered in, so we have room to slope that face going down. Alongside the hair, get that stop cut real nice there. And then alongside the hair on the outside, so we can put that shoulder back where it belongs. Now I'll cut the underside of the arm. The stop cut right under the arm, so the wing of the V-tool is right on that pencil line. And I will round that body off almost all the way down to the wing there on both sides. Then right alongside, a very light cut on the hands. When you get down to the bottom of the hand around the wrist, then I just kind of plunge in. You can take that chip right out of there. Then you can go right back to where the sleeve is, come right up on the sleeve. So we're outlining the hands and the sleeve, dropping the waist down. I tried to position the camera so you could see from the top a little bit better. And now is the time too when you're going around and your saw, when you sawed it out, you didn't quite follow the line. Now is the time you can trim those areas too. So we're coming right down by the face with a gouge here, and so I'm going to create that line right by the jaw, right there. And that's pretty deep. That's about halfway through the piece of wood. Now I know my hand is kind of in the way. It's hard to see there. But I'm trying to get into that hole. Making the space wide enough to get my gouge in there for a cut. This is a small number 3 gouge that I'm using. To do where the eyebrows are, I'm not going to take a pencil and draw it. I'm just going to put them in right about there. And the eye sockets below the eyebrows, about like that. They're down quite a bit on the face because of the face tipped forward. So now taking the gouge and starting to round off the hair, the side, the face, coming around. And you do that with both sides. Now with the face tipped forward, the hair is also going to be a little bit deeper right here, coming out more onto the shoulder towards the front, but a little bit deeper right as it's following the face down a little bit like that. On the gown, we just follow the pencil lines with the V-tool. Here we just going to make that V-tool cut quite deep there. So it has 2 heavy cuts following right up. Then right alongside that, this is the edge of the cloak, that little thin edge, and the same on this side. Now we can make a stop cut here on the bottom because that cloak is going towards the back. So as you go to the top of this, you're going deeper and almost to the back there. This stop cut can come down because that cloak is starting to wrap around. So that means it'll be going deeper. And the same on this side. These cuts can just come down the side, and as we get to the end we roll them over more. Again, my V-tool cut is coming down and rolling around the side. And the same on the other side. We got the stop cuts on both sides, and I'm adjusting the light so you can maybe see what I'm doing with the gouge. I'm coming down and we are wrapping this around the side because her gown wraps around the side like that. Then this next fold will do the same, wrap around the side. And I am going almost all the way to the back on these. Almost all the way down to the back. When we run the stop cut up in here, that's the deepest portion of this fold, and we wrap it around. The next stop cut come here, that's the deepest portion, and then we roll it off to the side. The V-tool, or the gouge, is a little bit too small to get in there, so I'm going to have to cut from the side here. Now this is the center between these two sides coming up. I'm going to clean off some of this pencil mark, and I'm going to wrap this fold around. So I'm going to take my gouge and just kind of dig that corner in and wrap this around to the back. That will give the roundness to this cloth inside. The same here, I'll take that corner and I'll run it right down there. Now I'm going to draw in the lines for the wings, and basically they're going to come in like that. That. Now in the sawing action, and I got one of the wings a little bit bigger. This one here is a little bit bigger than that one, and I've noticed that when I was drawing it, so I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. Now I'm going to just take the V-tool on these pencil lines, and I'm just going to take one of the wings of the V-tool and run it right alongside the pencil line. Now, as you can tell, I haven't really tried to make this pattern real symmetrical. I just kind of eyeball it. I think it looks a lot better if you eyeball it. If it's exactly symmetrical, it looks too mechanical. Then you just do this to both sides. You cut in the wing detail. In finishing up the hands and the arms, my stop cut is going to be a little plunge cut. I'm going to come down with the gouge to there. I'm going to start up with the gouge just around the outside the hands. Same in here. Little stop cut. Clean up these pencil marks a little bit. Now these are still flat. I'm going to round them down a little bit, round the top a little bit. Same here. Now to get rid of this is still pretty flat, and I'm going to take another gouge. This is a number 6 gouge, and I'm just going to define where the arm is. I'm going to make just a little concave under where that arm is, and the same on this side. Give that sleeve just a little bit more interest. And I'll round the outside. Almost all the gouges I've been using here is a number 3, and except for that last one that I made these cuts in, that was a number 5. I'm just going to go clean up my pencil marks. Now I've got a few whiskers in there that need to be cleaned out of there, and put in some of the detail of the hair, and we're going to be just about done. The detail of the hair, I'm just going to put in, take the V tool, and putting in some lines. Move the light around so you can kind of see some of the shadows on it. So in this cleanup process, we're just checking for symmetry. I see that this one is a little bit higher than this one, so I'm going to just kind of work it down a little bit. And you're just skimming it to get rid of some of the unsightly tool marks, any of the whiskers, any of the cleanup areas. I'm going to take the V tool and just redefine between the hands here. In the place of a small little gouge to get in there, I like the side of the V tool, to use that flat chisel side to get down and smooth these areas out. And I think it's just about ready for finish. I need to put the hole in the top for the hanger. Maybe smooth this forehead down a little bit more. I'm getting ready to put the varnish on the piece, and I'm using the Helmsman. It's a polyurethane. It's a spar varnish, indoor-outdoor spar varnish. I'm using a bristle brush. Bristle brush is the proper brush to use for varnish. So you have the surface tension of the bristle to pull the varnish rather than a nylon bristle sliding through the varnish. I just hold it in my hand. I'm doing both sides. I don't worry about getting a little on my fingers. So I put on 2 coats of varnish. I take a 400 grit emery and I sand between coats. I lay it on a couple pieces here that it doesn't stick on the plastic. Thank you.